I watched the footage 3 times before I understood what was wrong. At first, it looked like any other auction intake recording. Static angles, harsh lighting, rows of chained bodies waiting to be evaluated, priced, sold. I had seen thousands of them. They all followed the same pattern: fear, anger, bargaining, silence. Eventually, always silence. But this one didn't. The human stood in the center platform, wrists bound in alloy restraints already cutting into his skin. His posture wasn't defiant, not slouched either, just steady, like he had nowhere else to be. And then there was his face. I paused the recording, zoomed in. He was smiling, not reacting to anything. No one had spoken yet. No buyers in the hall. No auctioneer announcing lots. Just the low hum of the station systems and the shuffle of guards in the background. And he was already smiling. I let the footage run. A guard struck the platform rail with a shock baton, standard procedure to keep the inventory alert. The others flinched. One dropped to his knees. Another started muttering something, probably prayers. The human didn't move. The smile didn't change. I leaned closer to the display without realizing it. "Run it again," I said. The attendant hesitated. "Matriarch, it's just Again. The footage reset. There it was. Same moment. Same stillness. Same expression. No twitch. No delay. No crack in it. Not a smirk. Not arrogance. Not madness. It was quiet. That was what unsettled me. I had seen broken minds before. They were loud in their own way. This wasn't that. This looked like someone who had already reached the end of something and found nothing there worth reacting to. "Who is he?" I asked. "Human soldier. Captured on the outer front. Minimal data recovered." I didn't respond immediately. On the screen, the human shifted slightly, just enough for the overhead light to catch his eyes. Still smiling. Even alone. "Keep this recording," I said. I didn't know why, but for the first time in years, something about a slave made me hesitate before deciding his fate. I didn't attend auctions anymore. That had been a deliberate decision, made years ago, after the war. Delegation was cleaner, efficient, necessary for someone in my position. I signed orders, approved acquisitions, shaped outcomes from a distance. But this time, I went in person. The hall reacted before I even spoke. Conversations collapsed into silence, bodies shifting aside, attention bending toward me like gravity. I ignored it. I was watching the platform. He was already there. Ryan Hale. The name had surfaced in a brief, buried under combat reports and casualty lists. A soldier from the outer front. Kept alive longer than most. Survived engagements he shouldn't have. And now he stood in chains, exactly as I had seen him in the footage. Same posture. Same stillness. Same smile. The auctioneer rushed forward, his voice suddenly too eager, too loud. "High Matriarch Vera Solis honors us with her presence." "That one," I said, before he could continue. My hand lifted slightly. I didn't need to point. The human. The room shifted. I could feel it without looking. Interest sharpened. Tension rose. They understood something significant had just happened, even if they didn't know why. The auctioneer recovered quickly. An exceptional specimen. Combat trained, high endurance, minimal compliance. I didn't ask. I stepped closer. 3 meters. Close enough. Ryan Hale looked at me the moment I stopped. There it was again. Not forced. Not reactive. He was already smiling before our eyes met. And when they did, nothing changed. No fear. No hatred. No recognition of what I was, what I represented. Just presence. "You know who I am," I said. It wasn't a question. He nodded once. Small. Acknowledging. "Then you understand why you're here." Another nod. Still no change. I felt something tighten under my skin. "My brother died in that war." I continued, my voice low enough that only he would hear. "Killed by human forces during a retreat engagement." His eyes didn't move. "I paid to find survivors," I said. "To bring one of you here. To make sure at least one of you understands what that loss feels like." The auctioneer shifted nervously somewhere behind me, sensing the shift in tone. The crowd had gone completely silent now. Ryan listened. That was the strangest part. He listened like I was explaining something ordinary. Like this was a conversation, not a sentence. "I will take everything from you slowly," I said. "Time, comfort, identity. You will wake up each day wishing it would end, and I will make sure it doesn't." I paused, waited, for something, anything, fear, anger, resistance. He held my gaze. And then, That same quiet, impossible smile stayed exactly where it was. Okay, he said. Just that. Not defiance. Not sarcasm. Acceptance. The word landed wrong. It didn't belong in this moment. You think this is a negotiation? I asked. No, he said. Then what is it? He tilted his head slightly, like he was considering how to answer. A direction, he said. I stared at him. The patterns along my skin flickered once, sharp, involuntary. I hadn't lost control like that in years. You don't understand your position, I said. I do, he replied calmly. And you're not afraid? No. The answer came too easily. Too clean. I studied him more closely now. There were signs. There had to be signs. Microtension in the jaw. Tightness around the eyes. Anything. But all I saw was exhaustion and something else. Something settled. You will be, I said. He didn't argue. Didn't respond. Just stood there. Chains cutting into his wrists, under the weight of a room full of predators. Smiling. I turned away first. Complete the transaction, I said. The auctioneer practically stumbled over himself to comply. Credits transferred. Ownership confirmed. Prepare him for transport to my estate. I started toward the exit. Halfway there, I stopped. Just for a moment. Something in me resisted leaving it like this. I turned my head slightly. Ryan was still on the platform. Still surrounded. Still smiling. Not at the crowd. Not at the guards. Not even at me anymore. Just smiling. Like he had been before any of this began. Like none of it had changed anything. I walked out without another word. But the image stayed with me. Clear. Unmoving. Wrong. And for the first time since the war ended, I wasn't certain what I had just bought. If you've watched this far, then this story is really interesting to you. Please confirm it by clicking like under this video. It doesn't cost you anything, but it will help me understand what story to publish for you next. Let's move on. The estate sits above the clouds. That was the first thing he saw when they brought him in. I watched the transport footage later, though I didn't need to. I already knew how it would look. Black stone structures cutting into open sky. Terraces hanging over nothing. The memory gardens stretching further than most cities. We don't build for comfort. We build for permanence. He didn't react to any of it. No hesitation stepping out of the transport. No curiosity. No visible awe. Just that same steady pace, guided by guards who seemed more unsettled than he was. By the time I saw him in person again, he had already been processed, cataloged, assigned. Catherine, the overseer, stood beside him. Matriarch, he said, lowering his head. The human has been evaluated. No signs of immediate instability. Physical condition, acceptable. Compliance level, unclear. Unclear. I asked. Catherine hesitated. He follows instructions, but not in a way we can classify. I looked at Ryan. He was standing in the open courtyard now. No chains, just a restraint band at his wrist. His hands were marked where the metal had cut into them, but he didn't seem to notice. His eyes moved across the structure, briefly, calmly. And then they stopped on me. The smile was still there. Unchanged. You understand where you are, I said. Yes. You understand what your role will be. Not yet. Honest. Not defensive. Not cautious. Just direct. You'll maintain the memory gardens, I said. You'll work where my family is remembered. Where my brother is remembered. A pause. Then a nod. Okay. Again that word. Again wrong. You'll kneel there, I added. You'll work among those you helped destroy. I understand. You will be seen doing it. That's fine. Fine. The word echoed in my mind longer than it should have. I turned to Catherine. Take him to the eastern terraces. Start with the central grove. Catherine inclined his head. Yes, matriarch. Ryan didn't wait to be pushed or directed. He simply followed when Catherine turned. No resistance. No delay. I let them go, but I didn't leave. Instead, I moved along the upper level, taking a position where I could observe without being seen. The eastern terraces opened below, rows of crystalline growths rising from dark soil, each one carrying memory, identity, loss. My brother's grove stood at the center. It was impossible to mistake. Larger, brighter, maintained personally. Catherine stopped at the edge of it. This section, he said. You will clean, align, remove decay. No damage to the core structures. Precision matters. Ryan stepped forward. For a moment, just a moment, I thought something might shift. This was the point. This was where it should happen. Recognition. Tension. Something. He knelt. Not slowly. Not reluctantly. Just knelt. Picked up the tools. And started working. Carefully. That was the part one didn't expect. He wasn't rushing, wasn't going through motions. He adjusted each stem, cleared debris, straightened growth lines with a level of attention most of my own staff didn't bother with. It wasn't obedience. It was deliberate. Catherine watched him for a while, then stepped back. Ryan stayed, working. The wind moved across the terrace, carrying the faint harmonic tones of the crystals. He paused once. Not long. Just enough to look at one of the structures more closely. His hand hovered near it. Didn't touch. Then he adjusted the soil around it instead. And continued. No hesitation. No visible discomfort. Just steady work. I realized then that I had been waiting. Waiting for a crack. A moment where the weight of it would land. It didn't. Minutes passed. Then longer. And eventually, he sat back slightly, looking over what he had done. And then I saw it again. That same quiet smile. Not directed at anything. Not triggered by anything. Just there. Exactly as it had been in the recording. Exactly as it had been on the platform. Exactly as it had been when I spoke to him. Unchanged. Unaffected. I felt something shift again, deeper this time. Not anger. Not yet. Something closer to uncertainty. I stepped back from the observation point. This wasn't how this was supposed to begin. He wasn't supposed to settle. He wasn't supposed to adapt. And he definitely wasn't supposed to look at a place like this and remain the same. As I turned away, one thought stayed with me, sharper than the rest. If this was suffering, it didn't look like it. I made it public. If he wouldn't break in private, then he would do it in front of others. That was the logic. By the fourth day, invitations had already been sent. Selected guests only. Nobles, advisors, those who understood what it meant to own something and to demonstrate control over it. They arrived before sunset. Curious. Expectant. I didn't explain much. I didn't need to. The rumors had already spread through the estate faster than I would have preferred. About the human. About the footage. About the way he worked. About the fact that he smiled. They exaggerate. One of them said quietly as we moved toward the eastern terrace. They always do. Watch, I replied. That was all. We reached the gardens just as the light began to shift, when the crystals responded best, reflecting the sky in fractured patterns of color. Ryan was already there, kneeling, working, exactly where he was supposed to be, exactly as instructed. One of the nobles leaned forward slightly. That's him. Yes. He looks calm. He won't be, another said, amused. Not for long. I stepped forward just enough to be seen. Ryan noticed immediately. He stood, not abruptly, not submissively, just stood, then waited. The smile remained. Continue, I said. He nodded and went back to work. No hesitation, no shift in pace. The nobles exchanged looks. This is it, one asked. This is the one you mentioned? I didn't answer. Instead, I moved closer. Close enough now that the others could hear everything. You're being observed, I said to him. I figured. You're expected to behave accordingly. I am. Still working. Still precise. Still calm. You understand why they're here? I added. They want to see something, he said. And I don't think I'm going to give it to them. A few of the nobles laughed. Soft. Dismissive. He speaks, one of them said. At least that's something. I turned slightly. Ask him. What? Ask him whatever you want. The invitation shifted the energy. Curiosity sharpened again. One of them stepped forward. Human, she said, her tone light but edged. Do you understand what you are? Ryan didn't look up from what he was doing. Yes. And what is that? A person you bought. The answer landed wrong. Not defiant. Not submissive. Just stated. A few of them shifted. Another stepped in. Your property. I know. And you don't resent that? He adjusted one of the crystal stems before answering. No. Why not? He paused. Not long. Just enough to think. Resentment doesn't help anything, he said. There was a brief silence. Then someone scoffed. He's defective. Or broken, another added. I watched him carefully. This was the point. Pressure. Attention. Expectation. This was where something should crack. You were a soldier, one of them pressed. You fought us. Yes. And now you kneel in the dirt for us. Yes. And you feel nothing about that? Ryan finally looked up. Not at them. At me. I feel things, he said. And they don't change what's happening. The smile softened slightly. Not gone. Just quieter. More tired. That was new. Subtle. But I saw it. So you just accept it? I asked. Yes. Why? Because it's already happening. A few of the nobles exchanged looks again, less amused this time. You're not trying to survive, one of them said. I am. That's not survival. It is for me. Another scoff. You should demand better conditions. You should resist. That's what your kind does. Ryan returned his attention to the garden. I did that already, he said. When? Before. The word hung there. Before. Before what? No one asked. I did. Before what? I said. He didn't answer immediately. His hand slowed for just a moment, then resumed. Before this mattered, he said. That didn't clarify anything, but it wasn't meant to. I could feel it. He wasn't hiding something. He just wasn't offering it. One of the nobles stepped back. This is pointless. Another nodded. There's nothing here. Exactly, someone else said. No reaction. No value. They began to lose interest. That wasn't supposed to happen. Not like this. You said he would break, one of them said to me. I said you should watch. And we did. They turned away, already disengaging. This was a waste of time. I didn't respond. I was still watching him. Still working. Still precise. Still the same. The gathering dissolved quickly after that. Disappointment. Confusion. Dismissal. They left without ceremony. Without conclusion. Without what they came for. When the terrace was empty again, I stepped closer. Ryan didn't stop. You embarrassed me, I said. I didn't mean to. But you did. I know. No apology. Just acknowledgement. You were supposed to fail. I know. Then why didn't you? He finally set the tools down. Looked at the garden. Then at me. I'm doing what you asked, he said. That's not the point. I think it is. I studied him. You're not reacting, I said. I am. Then why don't I see it? He held my gaze. And for the first time, there was something behind the smile. Not visible, but present. You're looking for the wrong thing, he said. That answer stayed with me longer than anything else that day. Long after he returned to work. Long after the terrace was empty again. And long after the nobles had decided he was nothing worth watching. Because they were wrong. There was something there. I just didn't understand what it was yet. And that bothered me more than it should have. I stopped announcing when I was coming. At first, I told myself it was efficiency. There was no need for formal presence every evening. The gardens required maintenance, not supervision. But that wasn't true. I came because I wanted to see him when he didn't expect it. The first time, I arrived early. Before sunset. Before the light shifted. He was already there. Kneeling in the same place, tools arranged beside him, hands moving through the soil with steady precision. No audience. No guards nearby. No reason to perform. I stayed behind the upper railing, out of sight. And I waited. Minutes passed. Nothing changed. Then, he stopped. Just for a moment. His hand hovered over one of the crystal stems. Didn't touch it. His shoulders lowered slightly. And the smile faded. Not completely, but enough. What replaced it wasn't dramatic. No visible breakdown. No collapse. Just absence. Like something inside him had gone quiet. He exhaled slowly. Looked out past the terrace. Into the open sky. There was something in his face then. Something heavy. Something real. And then, it was gone. The smile returned. Not forced. Placed. Deliberate. Exactly as before. He picked up the tool again. Continued working. Like nothing had happened. I didn't move. Didn't announce myself. I just stood there, watching. Trying to understand what I had just seen. The next time, I came later. After sunset. The garden was darker then. The crystals glowing faintly, responding to residual light. He was still there. Still working. Still smiling. You stay longer than required, I said. He didn't react with surprise. He never did. I finish what I start, he replied. That's not necessary. I know. Then why do it? He adjusted a growth line before answering. Because it's there. That answer irritated me more than it should have. You speak like none of this matters. It matters, he said. Then why don't you act like it? He looked at me. And again, that slight shift. That almost hidden weight behind the smile. I am acting like it, he said. That's not how suffering looks. No, he agreed. It's not. Silence stretched between us. The crystals hummed softly. You're hiding it, I said. No. Then what am I seeing? He thought about that. Actually thought. I don't know what you're expecting, he said. I'm expecting truth. This is truth. That's not possible. Why not? Because people break. Yes. And you haven't. He held my gaze. I did, he said. The words landed harder than I expected. When? I asked. Before. Again that word. Before. You keep saying that, I said. Before what? He didn't answer immediately. His eyes moved briefly across the garden, then back to me. Before this mattered, he said again. It wasn't an answer. Not really. But it was all he was going to give. I stepped closer. Close enough now that I could see the details I had been studying from a distance. The marks on his hands. The tension he kept under control. The way his breathing stayed even, no matter what I said. You're not reacting correctly, I said. I'm reacting honestly. That's not the same thing. It is for me. I felt that again. That shift. Not anger. Something else. Unfamiliar. You were smiling before I even saw you, I said. He tilted his head slightly. Was I? Yes. In the recording. He nodded once. Okay. You were alone. Yes. So who was it for? He looked at me, and for a second, the smile changed. Not gone, but understood. It wasn't for anyone, he said. Then why? He didn't answer immediately, and for the first time, I saw hesitation. Small, but real. I don't know how else to be, he said. That answer stayed with me. Not because it explained anything, but because it didn't. I left him there again, working, smiling, unchanged. But something had shifted. Not in him, in me. I returned to the surveillance logs that night, watched the original recording again, then the transport footage, then the internal cameras from the estate. Different angles, different times, same result. Alone, working, standing still, sitting, always. That same expression, not constant, not frozen, but returning, again, and again, and again. Not a reaction, a decision. I leaned back from the display slowly, the realization forming piece by piece. I had been wrong, completely wrong. I thought I was watching someone endure something. I thought I was waiting for something to break. But that wasn't what this was. He wasn't enduring it. He wasn't resisting it. He wasn't even reacting to it. He was choosing something else. And I didn't understand it. Not yet. But I couldn't stop watching. Because whatever it was stronger than anything I had tried to do to him. And that made it dangerous. Part 6. The order came at midday. Not through ceremony. Not through council summons. A direct transmission. Efficient. Cold. Final. I read it once. Then again. Then I closed the display. For a long moment, I didn't move. Execution authorization. Immediate compliance expected. No delay beyond one cycle. There was no surprise in it. I had known it was coming the moment the nobles lost interest. The moment the reports started shifting from curiosity to concern. From concern to deviation. And deviation, in our system, always resolved the same way. Elimination. I went to the gardens before sunset. He was already there. Of course he was. Same place. Same posture. Same quiet rhythm of movement. He didn't look up when I approached. Not immediately. Stop, I said. He did. Set the tool down. Then looked at me. The smile was still there. Unchanged. They've ordered your execution, I said. No pause. No visible shift. Okay, he said. The word hit differently this time. Not wrong. Just expected. You knew this would happen. Yes. And you're not surprised. No. Why? Because this isn't stable, he said. He gestured slightly around him. Not at the garden. At everything. At some point, something pushes back. That something is my entire council, I said. I figured. Silence settled. The crystals gave off a low, steady resonance. You're not afraid, I said. It wasn't a question anymore. No. Why? He looked at me. Really looked this time. I already went through it, he said. That doesn't answer anything. It does for me. That's not enough. It is. I stepped closer. Closer than I had before. You're about to die, I said. Yes. And you feel nothing about that? I feel things. Then show it. He shook his head slightly. No. That's not how this works. It is for me. I felt it again. That pressure. That disruption I couldn't name. You're denying me what I paid for, I said. That made him pause. Just slightly. Then, for the first time, the smile shifted. Not gone, but different. Understanding. You paid to watch me suffer, he said. Yes. And you think that's something I can give you. It is. He looked at me for a long moment. And then he said, I can't. The words were simple, but absolute. That's not your decision. It is. No, I said sharply. It isn't. He didn't argue. Didn't raise his voice. Just stood there. You don't understand, I said. Then explain it. That caught me off guard. You don't get to ask questions. I just did. I held his gaze, and for the first time, I didn't have an immediate answer. You were smiling before any of this started, I said instead. In the recording. He nodded. You were alone. Yes. So answer the question. I stepped even closer. Who was it for? He didn't look away. It wasn't for anyone. Then why? A pause. Longer this time. And then, he exhaled. Not heavily. Just honestly. Because if I didn't, he said, there wouldn't be anything left. The words settled into the space between us. Slowly. You expect that to make sense. It doesn't have to. It does to me. He considered that, then nodded slightly. Everything that mattered to me is gone, he said. No control. No way to change it. No way to fix it. His voice didn't change. Didn't break. But something underneath it tightened. That doesn't stop, he continued. It doesn't fade. It doesn't get easier. I said nothing. Eventually, he said, you realize you have two options. He looked at me. Direct. Clear. You either let it take everything else with it, or you decide it doesn't get anything more. Silence. The wind moved across the terrace. You think that's strength, I said. No. Then what is it? A boundary. The word felt foreign. You don't get to choose that, I said. I already did. And you just hold it there? Yes. No matter what happens. Yes. No matter what I do. He didn't hesitate. Yes. That answer landed harder than anything else. I searched his face, looking for the break, the weakness, the contradiction. There wasn't one. You're saying this is a choice, I said. It is. All of it. No. A slight shake of his head. Just this part. He gestured, not outward. Inward. This is mine. I didn't speak. Couldn't. Because for the first time, I understood something. Not completely, but enough. The footage. The smile. The consistency. It wasn't performance. It wasn't madness. It wasn't denial. It was control. Not over the situation. Not over me. Over himself. And I had been trying to take that from him. Without realizing it. I stepped back. Slowly. They're expecting compliance, I said. I know. They won't accept delay. I know. And you're still not afraid. No. I studied him one last time. The same man I had bought. The same man I had tried to break. Standing exactly where I had placed him. Unmoved. Not because he was strong. Not because he was resistant. But because he had already decided something I couldn't reach. I turned away. For the first time since the order arrived. I didn't know what I was going to do. I did not issue the order that night. I didn't cancel it either. I let it sit. Suspended between action and consequence. They sent reminders. Then warnings. Then silence. I returned to the gardens. Not as a matriarch. Just present. He was there as always. Working. Not waiting for me. Not expecting anything. You're still here? I said. Yes. You know this can't last. I do. And you're fine with that. A small pause. Yes. I watched him for a moment. The same hands. The same care. The same quiet precision. The same smile. But now I understood it. Not defiance. Not denial. A boundary. I thought power meant control, I said. He didn't look up. Most people do. I thought suffering could be given. He adjusted a stem. It can't. Silence settled between us again. Not empty this time. Just still. I'm not ready to decide, I said. That's okay. I nodded, though I wasn't sure why. For the first time in years, I allowed something unresolved to remain unresolved. I turned to leave. Stopped. Looked back once. He hadn't changed. But something in me had. And I knew, whatever happened next, it wouldn't be the same as before. Thank you for listening to this story to the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Write in the comments what moment in this story impressed you the most. And also check out the other videos that just appeared on your screen. See you in the next video.